Silence is one of the greatest forces in human life, yet it is the most neglected. Most people chase power in noise, believing that strength lies in loudness, in endless talk, in constant explanation. But the truth is far deeper. The most powerful individuals in history understood that silence is not weakness, it is control. Silence is not emptiness, it is mastery. When you learn the art of silence, you gain the power to influence everything around you, and you align the forces of life to flow in your favor. Consider the power of silence in nature. The universe itself operates in silence. The stars do not shout, yet they illuminate the entire sky. The sun does not boast of its strength, yet it sustains every living thing on earth. The ocean's depth is silent, while only the surface makes noise with its waves. The deepest truths of existence are carried not in sound, but in stillness. The lesson is simple. That which is most powerful rarely needs to announce itself, and so it is with the individual who seeks to direct his destiny. When you cultivate silence, you harness a force that is far greater than words can ever express. Silence sharpens perception. When you still your tongue, your ears and your mind grow sharper. You begin to notice things others overlook. In a conversation, the one who listens more gains more. The talkative man may scatter his energy in every direction, revealing his thoughts, his emotions, his weaknesses. But the silent man observes, gathers information, and holds the advantage. Life is a constant exchange of energy. In silence, you conserve your energy. In silence, you learn when others are wasting theirs, and the one who saves his strength always stands firmer in the battle of life. There is an old truth: never waste your words on ears that cannot hear. How often do people exhaust themselves trying to explain, trying to justify, trying to prove their worth, but the wise man knows that silence is the best response to ignorance. By saying nothing, you maintain your dignity. By saying nothing, you disarm conflict. Words, once spoken, cannot be retrieved, but silence leaves you free, unbound, untouchable. In silence, you become the master of yourself, and no one can drag you into battles that do not serve your purpose. Silence also has the power to build authority. People instinctively respect those who do not feel the need to chatter endlessly. The one who speaks only when necessary commands attention. Every word is weighed, every thought is deliberate, and so their speech carries power. Silence prepares the ground for influence. When you finally choose to speak, people listen because they know that your words are not wasted. Authority does not come from noise, it comes from restraint. And silence is the ultimate restraint that magnifies influence. The power of silence extends beyond human interaction. It reaches into the unseen forces of life. When you are silent, you become attuned to your inner voice, that quiet whisper of intuition that guides you toward your destiny. Many ignore this voice because it requires stillness to hear. They fill their days with chatter, distraction, and noise, drowning out the wisdom that could transform their lives. But the one who seeks silence discovers clarity. In silence, the mind clears of clutter and truth emerges. You begin to sense the right direction, the right decision, the right time to act. That inner compass, sharpened by silence, leads you to opportunities others cannot see. Silence is also the foundation of self-control. A man who cannot hold his tongue cannot hold his destiny. Words spoken in anger destroy relationships. Words spoken in haste ruin opportunities. Words spoken carelessly reveal weaknesses to enemies. Silence is the discipline that prevents self-sabotage. By restraining the tongue, you restrain the emotions that seek to control you. By restraining the tongue, you protect your vision from the doubts and criticism of others. Every great achievement has been born in silence first, in the silent chambers of thought, in the silent persistence of effort, in the silent resilience against discouragement. Master silence, and you master yourself. Silence has a way of making everything flow in your favor because it shifts the balance of power. People are unnerved by silence. In negotiations, silence compels the other side to reveal more than they intended. In arguments, silence disarms the aggressor, leaving them without fuel. In relationships, silence creates space for respect and reflection. Silence is not passive. It is an active force that bends circumstances toward you because it denies opposition the energy of reaction. When you are silent, you do not feed the fire. You let others burn themselves out while you remain unshaken. Let us consider how silence affects your daily environment. The one who speaks constantly fills the air with noise, leaving little room for growth. But the one who remains silent fills the air with presence, allowing others to sense strength without a word spoken. Silence in the workplace creates an aura of focus. Silence in personal relationships creates a shield against manipulation. Silence in moments of decision allows wisdom to rise above impulse. In every situation, silence positions you on higher ground where you can see more clearly, act more wisely, and hold more power. There is also a deep spiritual strength in silence. When you withdraw from the world's noise, you align yourself with a greater order. Prayer is powerful, but prayer that follows silence is deeper because the heart is still and receptive. Action is powerful, but action that follows silence is sharper because the mind is clear and decisive. In silence, you align yourself with the natural flow of life. You cease struggling against currents that drain you and instead allow unseen forces to carry you forward. What others chase with strain, you attract with stillness. What others lose in noise, you gain in silence. It must be understood that silence does not mean inactivity. Silence does not mean weakness. Silence does not mean surrender. Silence is strategy. It is the art of holding your strength until the right moment to release it. A seed buried in the earth grows in silence until it bursts forth in strength. The seasons change in silence, yet they transform the world. Your greatest growth, your greatest power, your greatest victories will come not from noise, but from the quiet persistence of silent effort. When you practice silence, you are not doing less. You are doing more in the unseen, preparing yourself for the moment when everything falls into place. People often fear silence because it exposes them to themselves. Noise allows them to escape their own thoughts. But if you desire mastery, you must welcome silence. In silence, you meet your fears face to face, and in facing them, you dissolve their power. In silence, you confront your weaknesses honestly, and in confronting them, you find the strength to change. In silence, you measure the distance between who you are and who you desire to be. That is why silence feels uncomfortable for many, because it demands truth. But it is only through truth that life flows in your favor. The man who lives in noise avoids truth, but the man who embraces silence masters truth, and truth always serves its master. Think of the difference between the river that roars and the lake that is still. The river makes noise but is always restless, always rushing, never still. The lake is silent, but it reflects the sky, the mountains, the stars. The lake holds beauty because of its stillness. Your mind, when restless, produces noise. But when silent, it reflects wisdom, strength, and vision. In that reflection lies the blueprint of your destiny. By cultivating silence, you create an inner lake of clarity, where every decision, every action, every step flows naturally toward your purpose. To make silence a power in your life, you must practice it deliberately. Withdraw from unnecessary chatter. Resist the urge to explain yourself to those who will not understand. Guard your dreams from premature exposure. Speak less than you know, promise less than you can give, reveal less than you hold. In silence, you protect your vision until it is ready to manifest. In silence, You guard your strength until it is time to strike. In silence, you train your spirit to walk in mastery rather than in impulse. This practice, though simple, transforms your life in ways that words cannot fully describe. There will be moments when silence feels like sacrifice. You will want to respond, to defend, to explain, to prove. But remember this: every unnecessary word is a leak in your energy. Silence plugs the leak. Every unnecessary argument is a trap for your progress. Silence avoids the trap. Every unnecessary confession is a surrender of power. Silence holds the power. When you master silence, you stop giving away your energy, your vision, your authority. You keep your strength within, and that strength attracts the right opportunities, the right people, the right circumstances into your life. Silence is the shield of the wise and the sword of the strong. It disarms enemies without a fight. It protects dreams until they are strong enough to stand. It creates an atmosphere where everything flows in alignment with your purpose. Noise scatters energy, but silence gathers it. Noise confuses direction, but silence clarifies it. Noise reveals weakness, but silence conceals it until strength is ready. Those who master silence never chase. They attract. They never beg. They command. They never crumble. They endure. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of power. And so, if you wish to make everything flow in your favor, embrace silence. Speak when necessary, but never waste your words. Act when ready, but never rush your timing. Dream in silence, work in silence, grow in silence, and when the time comes, let your results speak so loudly that no explanation is needed. The man of silence walks in harmony with life itself. He does not force, he flows. He does not shout, he shines. He does not explain, he manifests. For in silence lies the greatest power, the power that makes all things flow in your favor. Silence holds within it the hidden art of magnetism. The quiet individual becomes a mystery, and mystery always attracts attention. People are drawn to what they cannot fully understand, to what they cannot easily measure. When you wrap yourself in silence, you become larger than life in the eyes of others, because your silence leaves space for their imagination. They will wonder what you know, what you think, what you plan. And in that wondering, you hold their attention without ever uttering a word. Silence is not merely an absence of sound, it is an atmosphere that draws the world toward you. Those who speak endlessly reveal all they are, leaving nothing to discover. Those who remain silent carry a depth that cannot be exhausted, and depth is always respected, always sought after. There is also a profound connection between silence and timing. Most failures in life are not due to lack of ability, but due to lack of timing. People speak before they should, reveal before they are ready, act before the foundation is laid. Silence teaches patience. It forces you to wait until the fruit is ripe before you pick it, until the season is right before you move. In silence, you learn that there is no need to rush, because life rewards those who are prepared. Words spoken in haste cannot be taken back, but silence allows you to choose the perfect moment when your words or actions will carry the most weight. Silence trains you to recognize the rhythm of life, and once you align with that rhythm, things begin to flow naturally in your direction. Silence also strengthens inner conviction. The world is full of voices, each one trying to impose its beliefs, its fears, its limitations on you. If you listen to them all, you will lose yourself, but in silence you hear your own voice more clearly. You begin to know who you are and what you believe. Conviction born in silence cannot be shaken by the noise of the crowd. That is why the most influential people are those who can stand silently in the storm, unmoved by the opinions around them. Their power does not come from outward noise, but from inward certainty. And when you walk with such certainty, life itself aligns with your steps, because you no longer stumble in doubt. You move with quiet confidence. In silence you also find protection. The dreams you keep unspoken are the dreams no one can kill. The goals you nurture in secret are the goals no one can sabotage. Many lose their vision by exposing it too early, allowing critics, doubters, and envious hearts to drain the strength from their plan. But the wise guard their dreams in silence until the roots are deep and the foundation is strong. By the time the world sees the fruit, it is too late for anyone to destroy it. Silence is the armor that shields your destiny until it is unshakable. Above all, silence is power because it demands self-mastery. To remain silent when provoked, to remain silent when tempted to boast, to remain silent when eager to prove yourself. This is strength. It takes greater courage to say nothing than to speak in haste. The weak man must always explain himself, but the strong man lets his actions explain for him. The weak man must always respond, but the strong man knows that silence itself is often the most powerful response. When you master silence, you master not just your tongue but your emotions, your impulses, your very spirit. And once you master yourself, the world yields, for the world always flows in favor of the one who governs himself. So I tell you again, silence is not emptiness, silence is fullness, silence is not weakness, silence is strength, silence is not retreat, silence is advancement in a higher form. Make silence your ally, and you will find that doors open without effort, enemies disarm themselves, wisdom rises from within, and destiny unfolds with grace. Everything you desire begins to move toward you when you no longer waste energy on noise, when you no longer scatter your power in endless words. Hold silence, live silence, practice silence, and watch as life itself bends to your favor. Silence is the hidden partner of wisdom. Every great thinker, every visionary, every leader who left an imprint on history knew how to retreat into silence. They withdrew from the world's clamor to shape their thoughts, refine their vision, and plan their moves with precision. Without silence, thought becomes scattered, like a candle flickering in the wind. But in silence, thought becomes concentrated, like a beam of light piercing through darkness. That focused thought is what gives birth to ideas that change the course of destiny. If you allow yourself the gift of silence, you will notice how your mind begins to organize itself, how problems that once seemed overwhelming begin to unravel, how solutions appear naturally without being forced. The mind thrives in silence the way seeds thrive in fertile soil. The influence of silence is also evident in relationships. The one who practices silence gains respect without demanding it. Words can easily be twisted, misinterpreted, or forgotten, but silence cannot be denied. It forces others to pause, to reflect, to adjust themselves. When you are silent, you do not give people the tools to use against you. You do not supply them with your weaknesses disguised as words. Instead, you maintain an air of strength that quietly commands attention. Silence can heal arguments faster than shouting ever could. Silence can restore peace faster than endless explanations. Silence is not the absence of communication. It is communication at its highest form, where presence speaks louder than words. Silence also builds endurance. Life will place you in situations where words are useless, where explanations fall flat, where arguments only create deeper wounds. In such times, silence becomes your shield. To endure hardship without complaint, to carry pain without advertising it, to move forward without needing validation, that is the true mark of strength. The strongest individuals are not those who speak of their struggles constantly, but those who silently bear the weight, knowing that every silent step forward is building resilience. When you carry yourself in this way, life itself seems to bow, granting opportunities and blessings to the one who refuses to be broken by noise. In silence, you also discover alignment with purpose. When you stop speaking, you start feeling. You begin to sense the subtle guidance of life steering you toward your true path. Many people miss their purpose because they drown it in constant chatter, both external and internal. But when you cultivate silence, the distractions fade and purpose shines clearly. It becomes easier to recognize what serves your growth and what hinders it. It becomes easier to detach from what drains you and hold to what empowers you. That is how silence makes everything flow in your favor. It aligns you with your purpose, and when you are aligned, resistance disappears. The truth is simple yet profound. Silence multiplies your power. The man who is silent holds the unseen strings of influence. He speaks little, but his words strike deeply. He moves quietly, but his actions create lasting impact. He waits patiently, but his results outshine those who rush. To practice silence is to rise above the chaos of the world and to walk in harmony with a higher order. It is to live not in reaction, but in mastery. It is to create an invisible current around you that draws strength, respect, and opportunity into your life. And once you have tasted this power, you will no longer waste yourself in noise. You will choose silence, and in that choice you will discover that everything indeed begins to flow in your favor. Silence is also the birthplace of creativity. When the mind is still, new ideas have room to emerge. Noise clutters the imagination, filling it with distractions, doubts, and interruptions. But silence clears the stage, allowing inspiration to step forward. Many of the greatest inventions, works of art, and breakthroughs were not born in the midst of endless chatter, but in moments of deep, reflective silence. The painter envisions his masterpiece before the brush touches the canvas. The inventor conceives the mechanism before the metal is shaped. The leader imagines the future before the speech is delivered. All of these begin in silence, and only later do they become visible to the world. This is why those who value silence often seem ahead of their time. They are drawing from a well that others are too noisy to even notice. Another dimension of silence is its power to stabilize emotion. Anger, fear, jealousy, and pride often demand immediate expression through words. But silence interrupts that chain. Silence creates space between feeling and action, between impulse and choice. In that space lies freedom, the freedom to choose a wiser response. The person who cannot control their tongue is a servant of their emotions, but the one who can remain silent holds dominion over themselves. That dominion is what allows a man or woman to rise above conflict, to maintain peace even in turbulence, and to make decisions that are guided by vision rather than by fleeting moods. Emotional stability is rare in a world of constant reaction, but silence grants it, and with stability comes power. Silence also amplifies gratitude. In moments of stillness, you become aware of blessings that noise often conceals. The warmth of the sun, the breath in your lungs, the opportunity of a new day. Gratitude flourishes in silence because silence teaches appreciation. When you pause without words, you notice life as it is, not just as you want it to be, and gratitude has a way of multiplying what you value. The more you silently acknowledge your blessings, the more life offers you. In this way, silence is not only strength, but also a magnet for abundance, because it clears your vision to see and attract the good that is already around you. There is also a hidden discipline in silence that builds patience. To remain quiet when you want to speak, to withhold when you want to release, to wait when you want to rush. This is a training ground for greatness. Patience is forged in silence, and patience is the secret to enduring success. Most people fail because they cannot wait. They reveal too early, they speak too soon, they act before the right time. But the patient, silent man builds steadily, enduring quietly until the moment of opportunity arrives. And when it arrives, his preparation meets the moment, and his success appears inevitable to others, though it was born in years of quiet endurance. Silence, then, is not merely a personal practice, it is a universal law. Just as the seed requires silence under the soil, just as the night silently prepares the morning, just as the heart beats silently to sustain life, so too must you embrace silence if you want your destiny to grow, your purpose to rise, your power to last. In the end, silence is not something you practice for a season. It is something you weave into the fabric of your being. When you walk with silence, you carry with you an invisible authority, a strength that does not need to announce itself, and a grace that makes life itself align in your favor. In the end, silence is not emptiness but fullness, not weakness but strength, not avoidance but mastery. It is the hidden key that unlocks wisdom, stabilizes emotions, guards dreams, and draws opportunities into your life. When you cultivate silence, you rise above the noise of the world and enter into a state of clarity where your thoughts are sharper, your actions more deliberate, and your presence more powerful. Let your silence become your shield and your strength. Let it be the soil where your vision takes root and the force that carries you forward without resistance. Speak when your words carry weight, but in all other times allow silence to be your companion. For when you walk in silence, you walk in alignment with the very rhythm of life itself. And in that alignment, everything begins to flow in your favor,